assassin.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1645, 1645. Hello, I am Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont today. Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley. It's the super secret Sunday show. So we are not in Podcastro Valleymont. We're in Podcastro Valley 10. That's right. I look around and I see we're in a different location.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
But still the last place on earth, and that's all that matters. And you know what matters too is that you get enough sleep.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And that you get enough caffeine. It's sort of a yin and yang thing. Yin and yang, yang, yang. And I hope you like my kind of singing. It is what inspires everyone to listen to this show and have some fun. We're gonna have some fun, 'cause groove is in the heart, yeah.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And that's all I wanted to say. Oh, so I was talking to my mother today in Florida.
Mike's
and she
Daily
reminded me
Podcast
that she saw Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah!
Jesus Christ Superstar. The Tony Awards are going on. I don't know what's up for an award this year. I don't know. I don't care. But it's suffice it to say that back in the day, oh, look who just walked in. My mom used to go, she still goes to lots of plays and musicals. And that rubbed off on me. I enjoyed going to theater. I actually did 2 plays in my life. One, a Shakespeare play. One, wrote the other one? Look who else walked in. Oh, it was M. Butterfly, not Madame Butterfly, but M. Butterfly. It was a funky, weird play that came out in the 90s. And we did it in downtown Ventura. It was very interesting. But a couple people walked in, and I have been remiss not to in any way address them. Let's say hi. Hello, my goodness, it's Madame Rootabega. I also love this theater.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the acting attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
We don't like actors because they're too dramatic.
Yeah, dramatic. Do you know that? But actors are dramatic?
And here's today's podcast picture.
You mean they make a lot of noise and they can be annoying? Is that what you're saying? I don't know.
Yeah, whatever,
Okay, well, the podcast picture that's really mean. You should enjoy. Actors bring a lot to us. They bring us to a place. They show us a life, a side of the world that we can't see in our world. You know what? Like, let's say you are living somewhere in Iowa, and maybe you never, ever, ever get to go visit. Oh, hey, there's Basil. Basil. Let's show a picture of Basil, shall we? How about this nice one with the sun setting? Have I used this one before? This was taken over at the... Oh, where was this? Over in Hayward. In the area, Hayward Regional Shoreline. I took this about a year ago. So it's the sun setting. There's like an old pier that got washed away in the Heron Bay, Hayward Regional Shoreline area. And it's a cute little picture. So we'll post that at mikesdailypodcast.com, where you can also help out the show through the Amazon link. Click on that and buy whatever it is you're going to buy. And that helps us out. And thank you. And there's the PayPal too. And thank you. And thank you. And thank you. Basil the Boxer is there. mikesdailypodcast.com. Yes. So my mom saw Jesus Christ Superstar with an old friend of hers who has sadly left this world. Eva was her name. And Eva went with my mom the first time. Then my mom took my grandmother, my dad's mom, actually, too. And I think my mom and my father were already divorced at this point. So it was like sort of a nice gesture. Hey, you know, and she was very, very specific with my grandmother, my dad's mom, that, you know, she was in no way going to try and take me away from her or, you know, block me off from that side of the family at all. So she went to see, and my grandmother, my dad's mom, enjoyed musicals as well. So they went and saw a performance of Jesus Christ Superstar at the Universal Amphitheater, which no longer exists. But my mom then informed me she has seen that musical about 5 times. This musical is a Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, and the subject matter, Jesus, was not exactly something that a lot of people were happy about, that it was being put into musical form. And a lot of that music involved in this musical is very rock flavored, lots of rock and drums and electric guitar in there. And people were kind of, on the ultra religious right. No, this is verboten. No, this shouldn't happen. So it is a very interesting musical. We've probably passed we're coming up on the 40-year anniversary. Well, in a couple years, we'll hit 40 years for that musical when it first came out. I think at least 35 years it's been around. So, yeah, and I remember a performance Dennis DeYoung did in that, I think it was like 2002 or so. Dennis DeYoung of Styx was the Jesus role. They did a special version of it. Anyway, not to talk about musicals too much on today's show. However, I think we all should, in some way, embrace our voice, embrace what we can do with our voice. Some of us don't really care. Some of us hear our voice and go, oh, I have a horrible voice. And that's all we say. That's all we think about it. We go on the phone. We talk to people. We're happy as far as our voice gets the job done, where we work or where we, have to make a phone call. So I talk or what have you. But I am someone who has always been interested in my own voice. I've always been fascinated by voices, other people's voices, and that's been my focus in my life. I'm not a singer. I do sing a little bit, but not like I never pursued it to the professional level, and I'm impressed by people that do follow that route. So I got this weird text. Somebody that I've known for a while, even though I've known them for a while and they know I work in radio, they had no idea that I do commercials for the radio. And I have been doing commercials for, we've got to be coming up, definitely past 30 years at this point. I've been doing commercials a long time for radio. So I know, after having done thousands of commercials, how they basically should sound or what they should sound like. So this guy writes me back. He had never heard me do a commercial before. So I text him one of my commercials that I did this weekend for Halsey. Do you know who Halsey is? She sings on that song. She's this young girl, sings on that song with the Chainsmokers. Baby, hold me closer like that time you did in Boulder, and we're never getting older. And she has a couple other ones. She's sort of a rising star. And we're doing like this promotion with her where you can go see her. Oh, I just got a text from someone. But this guy, he never heard my commercial before, any of the commercials I've done. And he writes me back, oh my gosh, we were laughing so hard. Your voice is higher than real life. Never knew that you could be so excited. Very fun to listen to. This guy's wife wants to know if you're like that all day hyped up. I do not understand that at all. Oh, okay. And then the guy that does our schedule for the radio station I work for on the weekend, I don't know what he's smoking or what he's doing. He just cannot do it right. I've worked with him now for 5 years, and he always messes up the schedule. You ask him for a day off, he never gives it to you. He messes it up all the time. And he had this one guy, he had this one guy filling in for me next Saturday. And I don't get it. Whatever. Oh, that just drives me nuts. It must be kind of like what it's like working at Burger King, where whoever it is that makes the schedule for you messes it up all the time. But I asked for that day off, and then you got to come in. My point is that I got to talk to my mom, and that's good. It's good to talk to your family. It's good to talk. I got to also talk to a German cousin that I have today using Google Hangouts. I will not use Skype. Skype sucks. I tried downloading it onto my phone. It never worked right. So screw them. I'm done with Skype. And so I use Google Hangouts. And that worked extremely well, talking to my cousin in Germany, and she's doing well. She just went through a breakup, and it was tough, and then she had to move to some new place and starting a new job, and it's really tough. So she's young, she's 26, and it's like a whole new world. So we wish her the best of luck, and it was good to talk to her, and it had been since Christmas since I spoke to her. So I love Google Hangouts. That allows us to just to see them, and it's like you're there, and she's showing me around her new apartment, and it looks great, and she's got pictures from California when she came to visit. It's awesome. Finally, I wanted to mention in this particular section of the show, Benjamin Orr. We lost Benjamin Orr way too young. I think he died in the 90s. He was the blonde singer from The Cars. He sings a lot of their big hit songs like Who's Gonna Drive You Home Tonight, which I didn't realize. Well, first off, I forgot Benjamin Orr was such a good-looking guy, and we lost him way too young. He should have been a mega, mega superstar. He did have a solo hit song with Stay the Night, where that you probably don't know it from, and I can't look it up at the moment, but he had a song called Stay the Night, I think, that got into the top 10. And he sang some of the big hits for The Cars, including You Gave Just What I Needed, You Gave Something to Feed, and Bye Bye Love, Bye Bye Love, Bye Bye Love. And Enrico Ocasek sang the other ones. Well, on the video for Who's Gonna Drive You Home Tonight is the lovely model Paulina Porizkova. And Porizkova, yes, check that. Is that right? Czech-born Swedish model, actress, author, and feminist who holds both U.S. and Swedish citizenship. So Rick Ocasek met her during the filming of the video to Drive, which Rick Ocasek did not sing that song. It was sung by the late, great Benjamin Orr. And speaking of late greats, the late, great Anthony Bourdain is being commemorated today on the Travel Channel, because the Travel Channel really launched Anthony's career. They had a show called No Reservations. The last podcast I did was called Reservations in honor of Anthony Bourdain. Anthony was really catapulted into success with, well, the book did really well, No Reservations, but then when he was on CNN with his show Parts Unknown, that got him very popular and introduced him to a whole other audience. But No Reservations was such a fun show to watch, and I'm just kind of looking over there right now, and he could just bring out the chefs just bring them out of their shell and talk, and there's usually alcohol involved, and he just is always having such a great time and going to these amazing locations. He also did a great show on Travel Channel called The Layover, and that was another one. In that one, he did less visiting of places. He'd had like a B crew, an extra camera crew going out to twice the locations they could cover if it was just him. And he would do a little narration over, voiceover, while they just showed quick shots of this and that, but of particular restaurants that he couldn't make it to. But his dialogue, his writings, the what he said, his scripting, whatever he said on his show, the voiceover stuff that I assume he generally wrote, was always so funny and witty and quick. But back to Paulina Porizkova. She had an interesting storyline. I didn't realize about this, about her, that her parents fled Czechoslovakia and went to Sweden to escape the 1968 Warsaw Pact invasion. She was left in the care of her grandmother. Czechoslovak authorities would not allow her parents to reclaim her, and the ensuing battle was widely publicized in the Swedish press. making her very popular. After a failed rescue attempt in which her pregnant mother returned to Czechoslovakia and was shortly detained by the national police and then placed under house arrest, international political pressure caused the communist government to allow the family to be reunited after 7 years. So that's why she has Swedish citizenship. She was actually part of the panel of judges on America's Next Top Model, replacing Twiggy. And that was, I guess, in 2009? Wait, she had an appearance on the Late Show with Craig Ferguson. Oh, she was actually fired from the show. Interesting. And although Porizkova maintained she was told by producers that she had an ego problem, especially when she consistently complained about Tyra Banks' reported lateness to the set. An executive of the show said that, and Tyra Banks released a statement claiming that Porizkova's firing was due to the current state of the economy. Oh, yeah, that was during the economic downturn. All right. Well, anyway, she's also one of these amazing stories in that she's been married to the same guy, a rock singer, Rick Ocasek, since 1989. And that is probably one of the longest rock and roll marriages of all time. They met in 1984 during the filming of Drive, and you should go watch that video right now because it is just, well, it does a good job representing the song Drive. Who's going to drive you home tonight? And she looks amazing in it. She must be all of, how old was she at that point? That's doing the quick math. She was about 23. And so, yeah, then they have a couple sons. They have two sons, Jonathan Raven Ocasek, who was born in 93, and Oliver Ocasek, born in 1999. Wait! Hold the presses. Oh, wow. I'm doing this 1 month later. I should have done this podcast 2 months earlier, and then I would have been completely correct. But apparently, Rick Ocasek and Paulina are no longer together. They announced they separated a year earlier, but they announced their separation last month. Paulina and Rick Ocasek have been separated for a month now, and they announced it for a year now, and they just announced it last month. Okay, just what happens when you're finding out stuff as it's being recorded. Crap. All right, so there you go. They're no longer together. Well, we learn new things every day, don't we? Kenneth Starr says there are parallels between the Lewinsky scandal and the Russia investigation of Donald Trump's campaign. Speaking of Russia, Putin says he would welcome a meeting with Donald Trump during a visit to China. He said he will meet President Trump as soon as the American side is ready, but insisted Russia was in no hurry to win readmission to the G8. As you know, Trump was very much being vocal about how Russia should be back in the G8. They have not been in the G8 since they invaded Crimea, and Obama said they need to be out for their aggressive actions. A high-ranking Kirtland Air Force Base officer with top security clearance who disappeared 35 years ago has been found in California. His name is William Howard Hughes Jr. He was apprehended at his home after a fraud investigation involving a fake identity he had been using. He was involved in classified planning and analysis of NATO's control, command, and communications surveillance systems during the Cold War. He was a specialist in radar surveillance. He was 33 years old and single when he vanished. He was last seen withdrawing more than $28,000 in Albuquerque in the summer of '83 after returning home from a 2-week vacation in Europe. He had just completed a stint in the Netherlands where he worked with NATO officers on the airborne warning and control electronic surveillance aircraft. He was supposed to be back in Albuquerque by August of that year. There is no indication that he was involved with the Soviet Union or that any classified information was leaked. In other news, back to Trump, he doesn't like Trudeau of Canada, Canada's prime minister. And I just heard a great interview with Trudeau on the very young-looking Trudeau. He looks like he's 12. He's so young. But he was on a recent podcast by The Economist. I think it's called The Economist Asks. And they were speaking with him and how Trudeau says, yeah, I don't care what Trump says. We're going to stand for what Canada believes in. And Trump is Trump, and he's going to do his thing. But we have to be firm with what we need. And if he's going to put tariffs on us, that's fine. Well, Trump threw the G7 summit into disarray yesterday, saying on Twitter that the U.S. was pulling back its endorsement of the group's communique in part because of Trudeau's dishonesty. And he calls Justin Trudeau very weak and dishonest. All right. And he unloaded on him. The U.S. Okay. On the Twitter. That's so nice. Well, so now we'll be at war with Canada. Wonderful. Hey, there's a salmonella outbreak linked to pre-cut melon. Why are you buying pre-cut melon? There is no point. Just buy the damn watermelon, cut it yourself. I don't like the pre-cut thing. I'm not a fan. Unless it's almonds. You can go ahead and shave those almonds. That's fine. I buy the shaved almonds. I'm cool with that. But like fruit stuff, cut pineapple. Pineapple's a different thing because that's a fruit with spikes on it. You want to be careful. So be careful there. About 60 people were sickened by a multi-state outbreak of salmonella linked to pre-cut watermelon. Interesting. It's affected 8 states. And Vince Vaughn was arrested in Hermosa Beach. Hermosa Beach, very nice beach. I used to roller skate through Hermosa Beach and ride my bike through Hermosa Beach. My mom and I, that would be one of our fun, well, it wasn't I guess it was a Mike excursion, but it was more a mom excursion where we would park in Marina Del Rey and ride our bikes on the bike path. They got a really nice bike path that's probably still there. And we'd ride all the way to Redondo Beach and back. We'd have lunch along the way. It was a fun way to spend a Sunday. We usually do it on Sundays. And speaking of Sundays, Sunday morning in Hermosa Beach, Vince Vaughn was arrested at approximately 1 a.m., stopped at a DUI checkpoint. A passenger was in the car with the actor. He was arrested and charged with the DUI and resisting, while his passenger was also arrested and charged with public intoxication. They were taken into custody and released later that morning. Back in 2001, Vince was arrested in Wilmington, North Carolina, following a bar brawl during which fellow actor Steve Buscemi was stabbed. Yes, Steve Buscemi. You know what Steve is doing lately? He is directing episodes of Portlandia and starring in episodes of Portlandia, and very funny. Vince Vaughn was arrested for assault in the incident, but the charges were later dropped. And as we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the super secret Sunday show, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's sad. Benjamin Orr could have been huge, could have been a Bruce Springsteen or something, but he was so attached to the Cars, and the Cars were so big in the late 70s and 80s that he just couldn't quite break away. And neither really could Rick Ocasek. Rick Ocasek had a song, Emotion, Emotion, that was popular at the same time that Benjamin Orr's song was popular. And actually, when Benjamin Orr was with the Cars, he was known as Ben Orr. And that's all I got for you. I'm going to shut up. Hey, next show, it's going to be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. Have a great week. It's going to get warm around here in the Bay Area this week, so summer is in full swing. And all the graduations should be wrapped up by now, so hopefully you had a good time at someone's graduation party. And coming up this week, too, is my good friend Athena's 21st birthday, so that's going to be awesome. A shout out to her. And that's the end of the show. Talk to you tomorrow, hopefully. Yes.
Mike's Daily Podcast Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.